What's up, everybody? I got the man himself on our live today, Brock Blockchain.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
I went ahead and posted on Twitter. I'm gonna post it on Discord real quick, just to invite people to come up and hang out with us.
Sounds good.
You can actually connect this to Twitter as well. I probably should have just did that to where people could view from Twitter, but maybe next time. But anyways, Brock, it's so good to have you on. I think I said in like the introduction or at some point, like the OG of OGs. You've been around Veve for a while, haven't you?
Just yeah, I'm really excited. It's been a few days now. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think so there was a group of like 7 to 10 beta testers, but they told us like we're gonna be doing a drop. It's coming soon, and I'm literally at like a park with my kids, like they're on a swing set, and I got a nudge like, okay, it's live. Whenever you guys want to test it, and I freaked out and I raced in. Like even though it was a drop with just me and like 7 people, I raced in, and Dan and David were also racing in, and so. I think Dan and David got in like just before me. There's one set that's like an early like season 1 Batman Black and White where I have 2 and David has 2 of. Like so we're like one day we'll see who can complete that set from the others. But yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah. So technically day 1, first person in the drop. Yeah, it's been a wild ride already, and it's still like year 1 for most people. So it's wild to see.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And when was that? Do you mind sharing?
I want to say, like, I was looking at people have been like talking about their Veve birthdays or whatever. I think when we were in the app under our own accounts, so there was like beta rounds where it wasn't us. The first like actual drop that like I got to keep the collectibles, I believe was like October 2020. So
Dang,
yeah,
gosh. So if you'd have posted your Veve birthday, it would have been way before a majority of users.
And there was beta before that where it was like we were in and we were doing drops. But so like I had like a DeLorean in beta, but then like beyond that, like the actual DeLorean that you have, they look completely different. So
okay,
yeah. I'm trying to walk a line. It's been a while. I'm sure that the team will be fine. It's like I can't give you too much of like what the early beta is, but yeah, like so there was stuff that we had our hands on, but then like those accounts got burned, so I never like we could never have those. We had to wait for them to actually come out. So
yeah,
but yeah, no, it's wild.
I'm assuming you weren't having to fight people for a drop at that point.
I mean, there was I guess I mean a fight of between like 10 of us versus and like the team included versus the fights that happen almost daily now on Veve are completely different. But yeah, no, I mean it was still a rush back then, and I think the first drop, like when it happened for real, like where I knew like this is literally my NFT, when they had opened it up. Yeah, that was it. I just kind of knew at the time that the drops, I still had like sweaty palms, even though it was just like I was literally like running to try to find Wi-Fi in the middle of a field at a playground. So like everyone's got their first drop story. Mine's a little different, but I think once you live through it and you hit like the first drop, which now it's way tougher than it was early days. It just kind of clicks, and you're like, oh my gosh, like this is fun, exciting, and when you hit it, there's just no other feeling. So
that's amazing, man. And so yeah, you were like early like
a little bit. Yeah,
there's different like intervals of early, and you're at the very beginning of that. Yeah. Were you familiar with like NFT? Oh, by the way, thank you, Kobe. I appreciate the super chat. Were you familiar with NFTs and blockchain like going into this?
Yeah. So part of how I kind of people ask like how did I get in so early? I was a developer for GoChain, who was the blockchain that Veve used to run on, and so I was building things for them, working with them, and even before that, doing some blockchain stuff. Like I had worked on like an early NFT, kind of way before the hype. Like again, before Veve even had an app, I was making some NFTs. So yeah, I've been in it for a while. I would probably say like 5 or 6 plus years. Before that, I did augmented virtual reality stuff. And when I kind of see those two worlds like colliding, and I knew this wave of like what we now know kind of as the metaverse that's still kind of being built out. I just kind of saw the writing on the wall and went full into blockchain for the most part.
That's amazing. I had no idea that you were a developer for GoChain.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. So, the main point of this show, and towards the end, I'm going to ask Brock to share just some like Veve tips with us from somebody who's been here for a very long time. But I want you to be able to share your project with whoever chooses to watch this. And so, yeah, what do you want to just tell us a little bit about Feeshes? Like what made you decide to launch your own project, and maybe your inspiration behind it?
Yeah, sure. So, like all good things, I was on Twitter and I saw someone say that NFTs are not real because you can't touch them, and I was like, okay, that's foolish. Like, okay, like I've been in the space, I realized like the impact, and from like a technology side, I kind of understood too. Like the magic thing is that I, as an individual, can own something. Now, what that represents can be like the flat image, like a board ape or whatever. There's tons of projects like that, but it could be so much more. And I think we're going to start to see that as we move into like the metaverse space, but even into the real world of this can be a land title or a deed to something. And the magic is not just in the deed itself, but being able to do that exchange and automate things through smart contracts. So like automate like who owns or owes what for taxes, or automate renewals for driver's licenses and things like that. Like all these things can come. It's if the infrastructure allows it to change. But yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, such a foolish thought. Like, and how can I make it like prove this person not wrong, but how can I kind of like break through that? And so I was like, well, you can't physically touch an NFT just yet, and that would take a lot of effort. But what if I flip it? And what if I make an NFT that touches you? Like emotionally. And so what's the simplest way to tug at someone's like heartstrings? A pet. And so like it started from there, and like, oh, what if I could, weave this world and create this journey that people that buy one of these NFTs can go on, where they kind of almost like fall in love with this virtualized digital pet that they own, and they can interact with it, and it can do all kinds of funny things, and like, but how can I push it further? And that kind of was the driving thing through this project, is how could I push it further? And so I was like, well, I don't want to make it to where you buy it and you wait for the utility. What if it was an immediate utility? And so I actually did like 3 to 4 months worth of work before I asked for a single dime for anybody, to where the moment that you buy a fish, you can drop it into a fish tank and customize it. And I was like, oh, what if I take that further? What if like I could give you airdrops where you could have more accessories or backgrounds or more effects that could happen? You can change the lights, change the ground, like really make it yours, and really bond with its fish. And eventually, like all things that are alive, maybe one day it dies if that's in the cards or whatever. So, but then even with that, like, what if death isn't the end, right? Like, what if I could really tell this story of, you jumped in, you get to hang out and care with this fish. You can put it on your TV, you can put it in virtual reality, you can do all these things, and then how far can I take it? And it's so far it's proven that we're 3 months in, and we've sold over 1,000 fish yesterday. But again, it was never about the sales. It was about how can I give people a journey. And so it's fish on the surface, but there's so many different layers to it. And these accessories, we've even got accessories that it's a submarine, and you can put another NFT inside the NFT. So NFT inception, but then it drives around the tank. And that's part of it. Or a television set that you can put a GIF inside of that, so it's got motion to it. We dropped an octopus just last month, that if you can attach like a YouTube video to, and it'll play music in your fish tank and stuff like that. So just trying to push the envelope, and then we're pushing it even further. I had a roadmap. I did most of the roadmap, even though we were supposed to sell a certain amount to unlock different things. The roadmap I blew it away because I'd done a ton of things, and now the new roadmap is building a game and doing all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, I think your question was, why did I do it? And it's probably just to prove somebody wrong, which I think is a good reason to do something. Very, very mature way of living your life. But yeah, it's been a wild journey, and I intend to give everyone there's the octopus. So I hand draw all these accessories, the backdrops, the fish animated hand by me, and all kinds of other stuff. So yeah, just it's been a wild ride, and we're only like a fourth of the way in, and I've got a lot of extra tricks up my sleeve. So.
Dude, that was a pretty mind-blowing explanation, to be honest with you. I think, you obviously have a grasp and have had a grasp before most people, even in the space, had a grasp of where NFTs are heading, what they are and where they're heading, and the utility involved with them. And then the philosophy behind having a fish. And Dan Lee, he was joking before. He said, my fish died. I want my money back. But that even that input that you gave, like, what if your fish dies, but like death's not the end? Like,
yeah.
What?
I don't want to give too much away, but it would be really cool if your whole tank and what as a tank could change into a completely different form of like some fishy underworld or something like that. That your fish, maybe even though it's dead in a normal tank, but if you could change the state to where it's this fishy underworld. Maybe it swims around as a little ghosty fish or something like that. Like that way, you never really lose. It just changes the state, which is a funny idea for something that's supposed to be non-fungible. But I'm just trying to push the limits of what's possible and just stretch, hopefully, the imagination of people so that they have a really fun ride. It's almost like a ticket for entertainment rather than just a flat NFT. At the end of the day, it's a flat NFT too, though. You can sell it and do all the OpenSea things, or you can drop it into the land of the Feeshes and just the sky's the limit, or maybe it's not. We'll see.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I have two. I don't have my. I was telling Brock beforehand for this watching. I don't have my MetaMask tied to the computer that I stream on. So I'm just kind of showing more like tanks that are on the website. Even though you can, and I didn't know this before, you can view your tank without actually being connected, right? You can view it.
So the one that you're seeing right now is like just a random one from that somebody made from this portals too. We can jump into that too, but. This is just a random one that somebody made. But if you go to, I think I sent you a link. If you just
you did, it was this one.
Yep. So I don't know if that one's it. That's actually just the homepage again.
Was it this one?
Yeah, that one. So that one. So that's one. And in here, we're running a contest for anyone that wants to celebrate a little bit of St. Patrick's fun with us. This is, if you look in there, there's the shamrock like pot of gold, if you will. Right now it looks kind of empty, but something's kind of glow. I don't know what that is. Maybe over time that'll change. But if you have this tank inside the pot inside your tank, as of Thursday, we'll be taking a snapshot of whoever has it in their tank. So please, I would recommend that you do it. And then we'll be picking two winners that as we get closer and closer to the March type holiday, we'll be able to receive not only an exclusive 1 of 2 NFT, but also 0.0777 for like a jackpot or super luck, if you will, amount of ETH. And so you can use that for Feesh, or you can use it for whatever you want. It's just free money.
Yeah, that's if you have the
just drop the pot in and let's see what happens to that pot as we get closer and closer to St. Patrick's Day.
That's amazing. And the deadline is when?
Thursday at midnight.
Thursday at midnight.
Yeah. And then
so if you're watching this and you have a Feesh, you better put this pot in your tank for a chance.
And if you could do me a favor and just refresh the page real quick.
Sure.
Because these are live. I can make changes to my tank. And then, again, for St. Patrick's Day, you can turn your whole tank into beer because why not? And then some of your fish. Oh,
that's awesome.
They're kind of drunk in there. I think they're swimming around a little tipsy. So, but yeah, things like this. Again, I call these like mini events where just randomly things happen. For Valentine's Day, the fish were writing little love notes, and like those would change out based on how they felt about you. You get emails from your fish. You can interact with them daily and earn points for things. Just a lot of mystery and story that slowly unfolds on top of the airdrops and everything else. It's been crazy to see. I made a channel in our we call it the Feesh Cord, but it's just Discord, and it called Lore. And it just kind of recaps some of the story. And now there's like dedicated community members that are like finding these little things that I've hidden in airdrops or hidden in descriptions and emails that the fish send out. And they're like kind of uncovering all the secrets that I've hidden. So it's been crazy to see when you create something and then see how it inspires others to kind of like dig for clues and other stuff. It's been great to see.
I love that, man. I mean, like, again, so many hours a day now is for me is dedicated to NFT projects, and as many projects as I look at daily, like this is just so unique, you know.
Thanks.
And I think it even excites me even more because like you come from like my community, like the Veve community, you know. But there's just so much genius behind it. It's so aesthetic, it's fun, like the thought you put into everything. Like I love it. Like I don't know, I think it's really cool.
Thanks.
Did you say that you came up with the entire roadmap by yourself?
So yeah, this up until now, so I've hired out 2 things. Luckily, one of my friends, Mariana Martinez, she's an animator, and so she helped me with something that's soon to be coming to the land of the Feeshes. That's as far as I want to go about that, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, no offense by that. It's a surprise that's coming.
Yeah.
And then I've also hired out one of my friends is a musician, and he is crafting an entire musical album dedicated to the project that will airdrop out.
Wow.
And then so then that those are the two big things. But outside of that, it's completely me as far as like the animation, the code, the art, all of it, the ideas, the concepts. And we're just starting to see now there's like another layer of artists doing exclusive drops. So real quick, I can show you one from Johnny OGK Mines that dropped something. Here, let me just add some of his stuff to the tank real quick. He did these like really unique, I call them lovingly totem poles. So if you do a refresh real quick right now, it'll be over on the right hand side there.
Yeah,
so like these like dope little pieces of like different, and there's 3 different ones. It's sold out. But so over time, I've got like 20 different artists that I'm lucky enough to be able to call friends. They'll be dropping different accessories or backdrops or backdrops and accessories that kind of play together. And then you'll be able to not only use everything that I've created, all the airdrops, but also now like different artists that you may feel an affinity to kind of really turn your tank into like a unique kind of thing. And the really cool part that I'm excited for is we've got like 5 or 6 different artists now that are like giving me previews, and I like want the things that they're previewing like today, because it just makes the tank so different. And it's really like being able to have this living piece of art that has this artist style and this artist style plus just the fiche and like everything that's wacky with them all under one thing. And it's like having a one-of-one kind of like art collaboration that you can move around and set up however you want. So for me, that in and of itself is to like remix on remix on remix of ideas that I've had, is just adds tons of layers of fun to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's, a progression of Web3 is owning assets that represent you or that you want to represent you, and being able to customize these tanks with like these select artists that you resonate with or that you just like their art, I think is super cool. I even see that you slipped the Veve sign in there.
I might have done that.
Yeah. allowing everybody to get their own little Veve sign. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. If we want to talk about that just really quick, if again trying to give as much value as possible to everybody that buys at least one fiche, my community said it would be really cool if you could get the Veve sign, because some people like some of the like OGs or influencers that were early kind of supporters have gotten these kind of like care packages from Veve, but not everyone can get one. And so they're like, it'd be really cool if I could get like a Veve like light sign, like light box sign, whatever you want to call it, in the tank. And I was like, oh, cool. That's a great idea. Let me check. And so I messaged Dan and I was like, hey, it'd be cool if I do this. Like, I won't be making money off of it. I'm just going to give it away for free. And him and David were pretty supportive of the idea. And even Reese was like, here's the artwork, like the official like logo and stuff to make sure it looks right. And so even though I got the logo, I kind of like crafted it off of the light box that I've got. And then I wanted to take it further. So like, when you drop it in your tank, if you hit the L key for light on your keyboard, it actually like, will cycle from like no light to like normal to like the super bright version, and then you can keep cycling. So it like dims like the real one, and so you can control it that way.
I
and
had
so
no idea. That's crazy.
Yep. And so you can set it like bright and it'll stay bright, or you can set it like dim and it'll stay dim, or whatever. So you can really customize it like just like the physical one. But yeah, so if you have at least one fiche by again Thursday at midnight, I'll be taking a screenshot, and then this Friday, if you have at least one fiche, I'll send one to your wallet, and it'll be an actual NFT. So like as the project continues to grow, only the first however many people have fish by Friday or Thursday at midnight Eastern time, we'll have those light boxes. And so they're real NFTs, sell them. And then because I just thought it would be cool, there's a variant of this light box. So there's one that is just like the flat one, and then there's another one that's angled. And so I think up until now, we're probably going to roll with the angled one being the more rare one. But I'll just show you that one really quick. If you just do a quick refresh. Sorry that I'm going to break your refresh button for this.
No, I'm so used. Oh, okay, cool.
So then it's kind of like at an angle.
Yeah.
You can go behind stuff, and the fish can kind of swim in front of it and behind it and stuff like that. So just trying to push the limits again. And so if even though it's a free airdrop, like probably like 20% will be these angled ones. So there's even some like rarity to it. And even with the airdrops, each airdrop that you get every single month, there's like a guaranteed one airdrop. But lately I've been doing multiple airdrops where I just keep giving and giving, just because I think it's cool to just have a surprise that arrives in your wallet. And so, yeah, every airdrop you get, normally it's one of three options. And so the octopus, the submarine, or something else are the three options. Randomly, you're selected to get one of them, and then every fish that you have, if you have multiple, you get an airdrop for each one for that. So it really gives the chance for you to kind of, sometimes you'll get duplicates, and then our community will trade, or you can sell them. But yeah, there's a lot of variety and stuff to really customize it.
Yeah, talk about rewarding your holders. There's so much value in that, and that's amazing. So, like, if somebody, and just for the sake of like those viewing, say you don't have a fiche by Thursday, but you decide you want to get a fiche like next month, and you get one, you set up a tank. Well, you really wanted that OG VV sign. If somebody's willing to sell it to you, you can buy it from them and then put it
Yep.
in your tank.
Yeah, so it's a secondary. There's a second. All the airdrops are NFTs, and so if you get duplicates or you just don't like something, which fair. I mean, I made them, but like I won't be heartbroken if you're like, I would have rather had the other thing. Trade by all means, or if no one wants to trade, you can just list one of the things to sell, and then that's that. And then something I did, just because again I wanted to give like the maximum value. Whatever I make off the secondary from the airdrops, I take that money and I just go and buy off the floor, and then I give away those items. So basically, I'm taking money that's literally I could just make, giving it right back to somebody by buying their thing off the floor, and then going and giving that away to somebody that doesn't have that accessory, just as a way to give back. And as the project continues to grow, and over time, we've kind of started off with like 300 fiche, then 600, and then we broke 1,000. So it's kind of ramping up, and it's all word of mouth. Like it's just people like it. There's like no secondary market for the fiche because no one wants to get rid of their fish. Which
I
think is
noticed
kind of
that.
cool.
I was going to show the secondary market, and there's one fiche listed on the secondary market.
Yeah, for 1 ETH, which
Yeah,
you go mint. I mean, if you love that fish, go for it. But like we're still minting. There's 10,000, so we're only 10% of the way. The goal is not, for at least for me, to sell out. I know that could be like disheartening to hear if you're like, I bought this to try and flip it. It's a different kind of project though. Like it's a ticket to ride. It's a ticket for entertainment. The community has been great. Like they actually like trade between each other, like with like a trust and honor system that like we've had zero issues. And then if people have questions about blockchain or whatever, they show up and I'm happy to answer questions, or other people have like jump in and say, oh yeah, that happened to me too. Here's that. So like it's not a community where it's like moon, when is this, when's this. It's just I'm constantly dropping surprises like every other day as much as I physically can, and then everyone else is just chill and cool. And so if that's interesting to you, awesome. If it's not, I understand. Like it's not for everybody, but it's a different. We've done it different, and we're succeeding, at least in my opinion. And we're just continuing to grow, and that opens up more possibilities for me to do more. You mentioned the roadmap. I did most of our first roadmap just because I just wanted to, and I felt like it was the right thing to do. And so I actually like pushed the roadmap even further. And now I'm making a game that'll be available soon. And instead of like nickel and diming people or doing cash grabby things, like if you bought a fish, you get everything. This is kind of the way that I'm looking at it. And so the game, you'll actually be able to use your fish as a player in the game. And so your fish will actually get inside like a giant robotic mech suit, and you'll get to battle each other as fish robot like mech suit people inside a submarine and stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty exciting.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And then the reason why I was pushing so hard on the first 1,000, I guess I'll announce it here. So for the game, again, I could do nickel and dime like cash grab stuff, but just that's stupid to me. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it for fun. So the game, those mech suits will have accessories that you can get to like decorate your mech suit. And so like think some of them will be funny, like a mustache or like a top hat, or I don't know, maybe a bird cat mask or something like that. And instead of me selling those things, I'm going to take the first 1,000 fish holders, wherever they're at. Like even if somebody sells their first 1,000 fish or whatever, at one point I'll do an airdrop where like 5 or 6 of the accessories will go to each holder, and that will be the entire secondary market. So instead of me controlling it, I'm just airdropping it all, and then those early adopters will be able to buy, sell, trade, whatever they want, to just as extra value. And some people have sold airdrops and already made back the price of their fish. Like so, to be able to create something of value like that for me has been exciting. But I just think that there's just a different way to do things, and I'm just trying to give everybody. And that's not to say like, oh, you bought 1,000, number 1,005, there won't be anything for you. There's plenty coming, but just as an early reward for the first 1,000 fish holders that like just jumped on early, trying to give them tons and tons and tons of stuff, because it's a different way to do it. And I think I can prove that not only can I make you feel something for the NFT in different ways, but also I can make it enjoyable and just thoughtful through and through, and surprise and delight. Like it literally is like I get to play Santa Claus all the time because I'm just giving airdrops and freaking people out because they just love all the different things that they can get, because they never thought that like this silly little fish tank thing has so many different layers baked into it that it's just enjoyable. So
yeah, it's so true. And you know, I'm so used to not being gifted airdrops and stuff from the NFT space that when I first saw the airdrops from the Feeshes project, that I was a little questioned. I was like, oh gosh, is this a scam? You know how like sometimes you can get NFTs and like you don't want to interact with them,
yeah.
I just because I'm so used to not getting free stuff. And then I realized I was like, oh, okay, this is from Feeshes, and I can use this and put it in my tank. And it was just, again, I was like so used to like not getting airdrops that it was such like an exciting moment for me to like, oh, I can put this in my tank.
Yeah, and it's another, yeah, that was exactly like my mentality of like airdrops are one thing, and usually it's like, oh, I got an airdrop and it's a picture. Like, no, not dissing anybody else's like art or anything like that. I actually like getting those kind of airdrops, but I wanted to take it further. Like, again, that's the whole thing. Like, okay, cool, but how can I make it 10 times better? And it's literally almost every single airdrop that I've ever dropped has some kind of immediate utility. Last month was the first time that wasn't the case, but instead, because I thought that would be lame if I airdropped stuff that didn't have an immediate utility, I did a double airdrop. So I had to do double duty to like produce these things. But so you got something for your tank, and then you got an item for later, because there's going to be an inventory system where some of these airdrops you might have to combine together to then do extra stuff. And again, there won't be. I'll probably like if we need gas or whatever, I'll airdrop something to everybody. Our airdrops are on Polygon, so it's easier, but that's another reason why it seems scammy, because OpenSea will hide those by default. But yeah, so I just wanted to make the airdrops have immediate utility where it's like, oh my gosh, I want to race to my tank and use it right now, and I take care of all the gas and all the cost like associated with that, just because.
Yeah, which again is phenomenal. Real quick, Dan Lee, thank you so much. He did a huge super chat. Say congratulations to the latest addition to your family. Thank you so much, Dan Lee. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so for the airdrops, like the fact that they're free airdrops too, like it's just phenomenal. And I'm kind of like lost at words for it. Like I think it's so cool, and I'm excited to have Feesh myself. And I hope anybody watching this now or later that has the means and that wants to get in on the project understands that like you do so much for your holders. Yeah. And that there again, like you said at the very beginning, there's like more there's deeper elements to this than just the Feesh, and I love it. So the gaming screenshot happened at 1K, correct? That's what you
said. For the accessories, for like
for the accessories.
Anybody that buys a fish, that is your player, like the fish that is yours. When your fish jumps into the mech suit, the mech suit actually looks like your fish, like it matches the colors. And if you want to get accessories, those will be available on the secondary market if anyone wants to sell their accessories. I'm trying to give like a good handful so that the secondary moves around and so that people have an opportunity to get them, but it'll be whatever. But yeah, the accessories will be like cosmetic. They're not anything else beyond that. But the game itself, I tried to make it to where it was a perfectly balanced game, which is very hard to do. It's a remix of a game that I made before that was on blockchain like 3 or 4 years ago. It was called Go Battle Arena, and so this is very, very much, it's the Fish Arena. So completely unique name, right? No, but if you want to think of the gameplay, I've animated the mech suits, animated all these things. So like the whole thing is animated, but it is very 2D. And from there, if you and I were battling, my robot will be on one side, yours is on the other, and we each have 3 buttons to pick from. One is attack, one is defend, and the other one's repair. And so in a way, it's like rock, paper, scissors. If you try and attack and I block, I'll deflect your attack and you take damage. If you attack and I'm trying to repair myself, then I'll take damage because I'm not blocking you. If we both do the same thing, it's just null. And so it's rock, paper, scissors, but it's chained. So we each have a health bar. And if I take damage, then I go down a little bit. If you take damage, you go down a little bit. And it's a battle to 0. Whoever goes to 0 first loses. The flip side of why it's like tug of war and rock, paper, scissors together is I can actually repair even if I'm at full health and over repair. So I can actually, if I charge myself up to double my health, then I win. So it's either if I overcharge too much or I go to 0, that's how the game ends. And so it's completely player versus player, and that's what we'll be starting off for people to battle. And then there's some potential like play to earn stuff, but I'm not taking any additional capital in from this because I wanted to give it away for free. So don't expect crazy prizes, but like item exclusives, fish, maybe some Veve collectibles, things like that, to go from there. And yeah, so there'll be some interesting things that
Dude,
happen.
that's so cool. How would this be played, like over the website, or?
So there'll be a separate website that'll be linked out once it's ready to go. I'm also optimizing it for mobile play, so I could play on my phone and you could play on. You'll just have to. The only unfortunate thing is it will need MetaMask to kind of kick the thing off, and so you'll need the MetaMask app if you're going to play on phone. Desktop will be kind of like the premium experience, just with everything. For mobile, just there'll be some concessions made, and then yeah, I've got a producer friend of mine working on some music for it to just kind of make it a little more than just the battling thing, and everything's animated. There's like a story element that gets told almost like there's a commentator, and then another thing that is beyond that, if you and I are battling, we could put the link out and people can then watch it real time. So like when I make a move and you make a move, everyone's seeing the moves happen at the same time. So it's almost like it can be a spectator sport too, if you will, because it's all happening.
That's really cool. That's really
here.
cool. And then if I have accessories for my fiche, and like say if like people, if I just do that often, they could probably eventually associate me with my fiche.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty
cool. Yeah. And so yeah, you can name your fish, so your fish's name will show up, and yeah, you'll battle, and there's leaderboards and all kinds of stuff too that are coming. So that way you can be the #1 fish battler. And then why are these fish fighting and what's the story behind it? That's still to come, but it ties into the bigger overall story that we've crafted and been slowly dropping out.
Man, it sounds like you are like, and I know at the end of the day, you're just so far ahead, like, early to all this, but like, it just sounds like you're touching all the right elements of NFTs, like having the utility, the airdrops, the gamification, the attachment to your NFTs, the Web3 identity. I don't know. It's just like, I feel like you're like this project, like again, I analyze projects all week now, and seeing something like this, looking at the roadmap, and especially seeing you already execute so much of it, would just like check all the boxes for me. Like, I don't know. And to top it all off, like here, let me show it again for those that don't know. 0.033 ETH plus gas to mint. That's so cheap. Like if you're in the rest of the space, like honestly, we're seeing like 0.25 mint prices right now, which is just like, to me, is a little silly for.
I wanted to make it approachable. Sorry to cut you off, but just like that was my biggest thing. It's like, how can I focus on giving people the best possible experience? And so I'm taking the least amount. Again, I'm not doing it for money. The money that I'm doing, that I do receive, I'm using to kind of like give back in ways that I can't execute myself or execute well enough for me to kind of feel that it's good. Like prior to this, I didn't consider myself an artist, but people keep telling me that the airdrops look cool, so I guess so. But yeah, so it's just about pushing back and doing more for less, and it's not about like, oh haha, I made $1 million in 30 seconds or whatever the heck. Like, it's more of, I'd rather have people have a full experience all the way through and win all the way through, and just push the bar up so high that hopefully it leads the way for other people's to steal maybe an idea or a concept that I did and remix it into something else. I saw on TikTok somebody was talking about like how Doodles just released like the spaceships for them, and like it was the first time ever that an NFT was wrapped in an NFT, and I was like, I did that like in November, like with the TV thing, right? So it's just cool to see that like maybe the space is kind of like moving forward rather than just doing the same thing of like it's another round of profile photos. And even in an interview, I was joking around with Wendy. I was on her show, and I was saying like, if you're a space pig, and it's like you take an animal and an attribute and you combine them, and we just saw so many of those things, but that became kind of a meme within my community, and so I airdropped space pigs to everybody, and stuff like that. So like, the community gives me ideas, I have ideas, and it just everybody kind of wins from it. Just as far as the price point, again, trying to help people, again, not trying to get sales, but if you want a fiche, I'm flexible. If you don't have ETH, or if you've never done it before and you're confused or just not comfortable, I'm happy to walk you through it if I've got time. Just reach out to me on Twitter or on the Fishcord. And then also just I've traded like Veve collectibles or Omi or you name it to we just take the USD price for the gas and that, and then work it out that way. And then one other thing. I do think that fish are better in pairs, because it's more movement in your tank and stuff like that. However, if you can only afford one, I wanted to give you the best possible experience. So a couple weeks back, we rolled out something called portals, where every fish tank, you can turn it on or off. It's on by default. Portals will actually open up on the sides of the fish tanks, and fish from other tanks will come and visit your fish, and your fish might actually go out the other way and visit other people's tanks. But that can give you almost the feeling of a full tank, even if you don't have the full tank worth of fishes capital, if you will. I wanted to give everyone that experience. So things like that, try and find creative ways to push the enjoyment for people is really just what the core of the project is.
Yeah, I was behind on the portals, and I just remember going to my fish tank and seeing a bunch of other fish in there, and I thought it was like a glitch or something. I was like,
Yeah, people have said
what?
that. I'm like, yeah, it's portals, and they're like portals. And then, I mean, at least in the early days, like there was a bug where other stuff besides fish was coming through, and that was kind of crazy. Where boots would fly through, like an old boot would fly through the portal from one tank to the other, and other kinds of stuff, and that turned into another airdrop. So, yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. But I mean, overall, like everything that we're talking about, and like if people didn't already get the memo, like this is obviously the opposite of a cash grab. Like if I had to pick, like make like a top 3 NFTs that aren't looking to make money but want to give the user valid experience, like in the space and rewards for holding, like, man, I'm like super excited about the project in general. Like I don't want to say about the future of it because it's already really cool. I mean, like being able just to see these tanks alone, like to me was one step further, that of something that I just haven't really seen in the space. It like this aspect of it, which by the way, we didn't even get to this earlier, but not only can you project this to your television, but you were telling me that you also projected it to your new VR headset, correct?
Yeah. So instead of like, I wanted to make it as approachable as possible. From like how can I lower the bar as much as possible to get people into it, but to get to them to enjoy it, and then how can I get them to where, like I have people that this was their first ever NFT project, which I'm completely honored. Like that of all the things you could have picked, like you picked my little fish project. But beyond that, what's cool is even my 70-something-year-old mother, I'm able to cast this TV to her TV in Florida from Detroit, and I'm like, those are NFTs, and she's like, oh wait, because you owned, like she was able to like have it click about NFTs through my project, which is cool to see. I saw a video yesterday about a TikToker that her daughter wanted to mint a fish, and like so it's becoming a family thing. And again, I'm not trying to like hype this, like kids love it, buy it, buy it, buy it. I don't care if you don't buy it; it's totally fine. I'm just trying to push the ideas and the concepts. And so you mentioned the virtual reality thing. So because it's a URL at the top, anyone that's watching the stream can go and visit that tank. And so if you have that URL and you have a VR headset, there's a browser inside that comes with these, and you can pull up the fish tank. And so this is the Quest 2. And I'm not saying, again, you can go and buy a $600 thing or whatever. I think they're like $400 to $600. But if you already have one, you can pull up in the browser, put your fish tank URL into it. You don't have to connect to MetaMask. It's publicly viewable by anybody, but to change it, you have to connect your MetaMask. But so yeah, I pulled it up in the VR. I put my kids in the headset, and I'm like, look at that, and they're like, it's your fish tank. But the cool thing about the browser in VR is that like goes full like 180 degrees and like starts to wrap around, and so I was able to see it like at a depth that I've just never seen before. So it like almost was like popping out at you. Feels like you're almost kind of like in awe from like seeing it in an aquarium, like a real fish tank. So for that was cool to see like something that I created in that new medium. And then who knows, there's a lot of augmented reality companies out there that are doing things. So it'd be interesting to see what comes in the future.
My oldest daughter, which is only 17 months, would absolutely love that, but I wouldn't be able to keep a VR headset on her head right now.
It is a rough go for young kids.
But she loves fish, she loves aquariums, so getting that immersive experience, I feel like when she's a little bit older, is gonna like blow her mind.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool too, like you said, like it becoming like a family friendly thing, because like this is like one of the easiest ways I feel like to explain the very basis of NFTs to people, because it's
Yeah.
like, you see that fish, that's mine. You know how many other people had that fish? Nobody.
Yep.
Like try to right click that fish and try to act like it's yours, and then put it in a tank.
Yep. Yep. And then beyond that, even my daughter, who is about to be 9, she saw the fiche and heard me kind of like iterating on the idea, and I would explain it to her because I think that that's a good, like, kids are brutally honest, and so if it's a nonsense idea or just not cool, she will definitely tell me. But from that and seeing it kind of like executed from concept to like reality, not only did she want to mint her own and name it and set up her own tank, which was cool to see, but now she's like, Dad, like, this is my project and it's going to be, and she's explaining to me like the concept of like characters and this, and she's 9 and she's creating her own IP, and like granted there's like idea and there's like execution, but with, I mean, people, if you want to know, like, this is code and like time, and then an iPad, and you don't even need to do an iPad, but the iPad and Procreate, which is very, very affordable, all things considered, it let me do all of this. And so I hope that maybe it's, again, like me pushing the limits as far as I can, let somebody have like a spark ignited inside them. They're like, I can do that. Like, you can, there are ways to do it. And so, yeah, it's been exciting to see that, you know, not only this, it's a success because I feel like I've already made people care about their fiche in my mind. But the fact that like all of this on top, it's just like, if it's the cherry on top, I'm drowning in cherries because it's sparking new ideas. My daughter has like ideas of like how she could like, I could just see where this thing's going. Like you mentioned, like early on, I was able to see where it's going. Like, well, now I'm seeing it even more of like kids just get this kind of stuff, and I think that the world they're going to grow up in is going to be wild.
Yeah, man, I completely, sorry, I had my mic on mute. I completely agree. And this is the beginning of Web3, and I don't know, like, again, I just feel like this project is quite far ahead of other projects,
Well,
and
thanks.
it does make me excited to think like by the time my daughter gets a little bit older and can understand a little bit more, like where NFTs will be at that point, you know.
Yeah, I think we're going to get to a point where NFTs stop having to be told that they're NFTs. Like, people are going to get like vomit in their mouth if they find out that something's not an NFT. Like, there's a point where like when the technology is new, you got to say it all the time. But I think that we're going to start to say like, oh, that's a really cool like avatar that you got. Can you transfer it to me or whatever? Like, because why wouldn't it be an NFT? Like, it's just going to become like, I just own stuff, because why wouldn't I own stuff? Like, where we're used to like not owning it. Now it's just going to get to this world where we jump into the norm is owning stuff than not.
Yeah, it's going to be like the like newer tickets, basically, like how
Yep.
tickets used to be, except for tickets are kind of closed off too. Like, I literally went to go see a concert like a month ago, and basically it was pushing my daughter's birth too much. So like, you know, it could have been any day sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we tried to sell the tickets. Well, it was closed. I wasn't able to sell the tickets until 24 hours before the concert. So I
Yeah.
was stuck with those tickets, and I was just thinking, man, I wish this was like an NFT because it would be my asset that I could sell at any given time,
Correct.
you know, instead of just kind of stuck with these
I
tickets.
think that's already like on the cusp, but the problem now is not the fact like can it happen? It's do they want to give up control because they've had you know what I'm saying? Like it's the infrastructure and the powers that be don't want the change, but realistically, you could make an NFT that like lets you go to a concert, enjoy the show, and then you keep it on your phone connected to your Ticketmaster wallet or whomever, and then you see the ticket stub like ripped in half, or that's now like unlockable content to a coupon code for like so much can open up with the technology. Like, that's the thing. It's like the technology is the magic. What you do with it is what we're still kind of figuring out. And so with this project, I've just been trying to push it at every turn to try and give people an experience, but also just spark ideas, because I'm not going to have every idea. But it'd be really cool if I could inspire like somebody else's idea to push it even further and remix it.
Yeah, man, I respect it. I appreciate it. And, you know, anything that furthers the space is awesome. So
Thanks.
I'm excited about it. I know you're not on like the shilling side. But you know, obviously not financial advice, but this is a really cool project. And if you're not plugged into OpenSea, this would be an amazing project to own. I think, you know, and you've heard it from Brock himself, the passion, the inspiration, and everything else behind the project. And I am telling you right now, as somebody who does this a lot, that's an amazing mint price. I mean, 0.033 is not taking your money. You're getting, in my opinion, more value than what you're paying for it. Like between the tanks, the airdrops, I mean, like Brock said, he's already had people that sold their airdrops to make up for the money for their fish. He's willing to
It's
work
not,
with you.
I'm not saying everybody like that will
Yeah, no,
always
no, no,
hit,
no, of course
but
not.
especially right now, if there's only 1,000 people into the pool and we're going to keep moving, when I do the airdrop, it only goes out to the amount of holders that are right then and there, right? So even though something might have like 40% of the chance getting this, when there's 5,000 fish, it's still very, very rare because only so many people got it, right? And that was baked in the way that I'm doing that to again reward early people who took the wild ride and took the chance on this. I will say one other thing, and again, I want to like throw this out is like I don't care if you buy it or not. I'll be fine. If it's interesting to you, then great. But if you're going to mint more than one fish at a time, and it is beneficial from a gas perspective for you to try and mint them all at once in like a bulk mint. You can mint up to 10. Then do one now, and then one later, and then one later. Again, I don't care if you buy more or one or zero fish. It'll be totally fine. But by bulk minting, you kind of have a reduced gas price by doing it all at once. Your financial situation may not allow it. I totally understand it. Just throwing that out there as I've had some people that have minted one, then the next day minted one again, and then, oh my God, I got to get more, mint 3. Great. But had you done the 5 all at once, you would have saved probably like $60 or $100 in gas, depending upon what it is. But yeah, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, of course. And then like for those that if you've never minted anything or you haven't dealt much with like OpenSea, just make sure that gas isn't outrageous at the time. You know, there's certain times of day where gas is lower, and you can use those by using gas checkers online. And you know that way, if you do decide to mint a fish, you can get the best bang for your buck and hopefully get gas at a relatively lower point during the day.
Yep, it's a hybrid project too. So the fish themselves are on Ethereum. The airdrops are on Polygon. So if where most of the action is happening is on Polygon, and so if you're selling your airdrop or whatever the case may be, or transferring it because you're trading it, the gas is almost nothing. Like it's like fractions of a penny. Again, that was by design, giving you the bigger, wider ecosystem of being on Ethereum for the main fish. The accessories are all on a different chain because those are the things that move around a little bit more. So it's cheaper for you.
For sure. And that's, you know, as Brock said earlier, that's why they might appear in your hidden, it was a hidden folder. I think that's where.
Yeah, if you got, there's 2 ways to see it. They come hidden by default because unfortunately, because Polygon's so cheap to airdrop stuff, OpenSea had to almost like hide them by default for spam reasons. And so you can go to your activity on OpenSea and then uncheck Ethereum, showing you all of the chains that they support, or go into your collection where there's the hidden tab and unhide the things from the Feeshes if you choose to do so. The cool thing is though, you can just ignore OpenSea. I wire everything up for you. I do all the heavy lifting. So you can just go right to your fish tank when you've got an airdrop and see and interact with it. And you don't even have to deal with OpenSea. Just people prefer to use OpenSea because you can visually see the things arrive and stuff like that. So choice is yours. I did everything I possibly can, but just unfortunately, they're hidden by default on OpenSea for the time being.
Gotcha. I love it. Well, we've been going for 47 minutes. Brock needs to go at around an hour. We did say that we would do like a quick like Veve tip or tips. So if you have any like random questions for Brock regarding Veve during this next like 7-ish minutes, feel free to shoot them in chat. And in the meantime, you posted yesterday just a thread about a tip for Veve. I'm looking it up right now, but
yeah, somebody had said basically that they didn't see a lot of tips and they wish there were some more. I think there's a lot of great people out there that do give tips. There's a lot of paid groups too. Do whatever you want to do. I'm a fan of just giving away for free because it's not secrets to me. It's just logic. With that said, I think that thread somebody had said like, what do you do if you have to sell something because they've done like they're stuck basically because the prices have dropped. The prices are lower than they've been, but all things considered, for a lot of the earlier stuff, they're still up, right? So it just depends on where the perspective of when you jumped into something. But I very much can see if you bought like a Steamboat Willie at like 7 or 8K and now it is like 3K, that hurts. Where's your mind at? I really think that you should stop and think because a lot of people, what they do is like, oh my God, I bought it for 8,000. It's now 4,000. I need to sell it. and then I'm going to go and buy this other thing, and then it's the newest drop, and I buy it at 3K, and it drops to 1K, and so their money that was $8,000, they took an L, but then they jumped into another red thing and took another L, and like that's how you lose all of your dollars. Like so stop, pause, relax. I know that you can kind of start to panic a little bit, but really have a plan. Look at like, okay, if I jump into this next thing, is there anything comparable out there to it? Is it down, or am I buying it at the hot new price where people are FOMOing? Also realize that like the market's going to go up and down, up and down. And for anybody that's telling you or screaming at you like this is your last chance, you'll never see this below, they're lying to you. They have an agenda. They want it to keep going up, and so they need you to keep FOMOing into it. So don't like understand the game. Don't buy the hype, and like read tweets, but don't let tweets change the reality that you're living in, and make a plan. That's really what that thread was about. Gym management is key. And someone asked me, I got a message today. It's like, I got $1,500 in gems. What should I do? And my answer right now is nothing. Like, don't stay liquid. Stay liquid. Wait until you start to see some movement and analyze things. But also, to me, it's better to almost have $1,000 liquidity or gems, and then maybe take the 500 and look at things like, and again, I'm going to say things. I'm not giving these as like financial advice or trying to pump my bags. But to me, looking at characters that are very, very popular. If you like Batman, the equal and opposite almost is like a Wonder Woman in the female superheroes arena. She's very, very popular. If she was like $100 like last week, to me, I grabbed a few of those. So taking that 500, finding things that you just feel like are going to be really, really solid. Again, not saying buy all the Wonder Womans, do what you want. But for that, I think that's easy, like 2 or 3x. So if I'm down, taking that and doing a safer 2 or 3x, or even go up 20% and then jump, whatever you feel like doing, that now can start to rebuild. So like, what is the path to get back whole? And then beyond that, like, how can you now play it smarter? If you have 2,000 gems, don't spend 2,000 gems. Realize that you want to kind of be focusing on like 20 to 30%. And play in that range. So then you've got more should there be a dip to take advantage of opportunities. And when things come up, don't be afraid to sell. Like, don't get married to your collection. There's the flipping side of it, and there's the collecting side of it. For the collecting side of it, when you climb to say 2,000 or 200, whatever your lane you're playing in, when you feel like you've climbed like 3x of where you normally want to keep your like bankroll at, now take a slice and make an investment and pocket that into your kind of vault, if you will, and then keep it moving. If you go to zero every time because you're just like, I have to have it, it's going to be the most popular thing, and you go to zero, know that you could be stuck if that doesn't move, or if it's not liquid. And that's happened to me even. Like we're just now seeing like the DeLoreans start to kind of come back alive. Early days, I took a huge risk, and I was like, you know what, these DeLorean ultra rares, they're going to be insane, they're going to be amazing. It was still early days. I dropped $1,000 per on like 10 ultra rare DeLoreans. They went down to like 300. It crushed my gym management, and I had to slowly like rebuild over time. It happens to everybody. So gym management, careful who you're listening to. Probably the true story is don't listen to anybody, don't even listen to me. Take the knowledge, but then you make the decisions. That's some knowledge. So
yeah, I think that's super solid advice. And also, I don't think anybody thinks you're trying to pump your bags, because I think I think if people know you, they know that there's not. I mean, I know from like season 1, I don't want to like talk about your holdings, but there wasn't much that you didn't have, for lack of better words. So technically, if you say any collectible, more than likely, you own it.
That's fair. I mean, up until like decon, I think there was just a lot that dropped then, and I had to kind of, again, even me say, oh, I really, really want those decon things, but I gotta slow it up, and I gotta circle back to them over time when it makes sense. So like keep flipping and use the profit to then buy the things I really, really want. But up until then, I had one of everything or multiples of everything. That was kind of like the tipping point. And then since then, I've made some moves where I just surrendered to like, it is going to be impossible for my current financial situation, or until maybe like only to NFT opens up, to have one of everything. So I've been making moves with that realization, and it's helped me have a little more clarity.
Yeah, that's super fair. And I agree with what you said. Gym management is so important. I definitely thought I was really good at gym management, and I sold some good things at the last bull run, like pretty high, but I like bought the dip, and then I bought the dip, and then I bought the dip, and then I bought the entire lenticular card set, and real quick, I'm like, oh God, I sold so much stuff and had a nice little stack of gems to like flow into the market. And then I like overbought too quickly.
Definitely. Yep.
So
it happens to everybody. And just, I think that it's more, am I stacking MS5? I feel like I'm becoming like an old dinosaur in Veve terms.
It's a Ghost Rider comic that dropped Monday.
Oh yeah. So for comics, I buy 10 commons of every single comic.
Okay.
Because to me, I think this is season 1 comics and season 1 stamps. And so if you could time travel back to season 1 Veve, buying 10 Todds would have probably been a great idea, right? Not saying that every single comic is a Todd, but like I think there's going to be new people that come in that are comic collectors that go for certain ones. There's also going to be people that just come in and buy the cover that speaks to them, and that's where they start. And they might buy a comic, sell a comic, buy a new comic, and that's going to be kind of cool. Then if enough people do that, it will restrict the supply. We get burning of comics, that'll restrict the supply. And so having 10 or more of the commons, I think, is just an okay play for a minimum risk. So yes, I bought. I think I have 15 of those.
That's amazing. I got 9 of them. I did sell off one at like 38 just to cover like three other costs, just to be safer with my gym management right now. But the whole like viewing comics as season 1, like that's a pretty neat perspective, and buying to know every comic, I like that. Looks like we had like one more thing, and we'll maybe take one more, but again, out of respect for Brock's time, we got to conclude quick. We had Northluck 89 asked, do you think the market will start pumping soon? And do we ever see January peak again?
Yeah, I mean, so I would look at, and again, I'm not a sports person, but I would look at like basketball cards, right? Like, so if we're in year 1/year 2, everything's a rookie card, right? But were they rookie prices year 1 and year 2? No, they were just all that was. And so even though you're holding something that could be really, really valuable, like you mentioned the Disney kind of holographic cards with the music and everything, the price might not be there because it just hasn't appreciated yet. And we might have seen a taste of that run up, but I think it was just everybody was like hyper bullish. And I think that it'll get back there, but just it's not going to just go everything to $10,000 and sustain. And so I think there's going to be some interesting things that happen. Right now, I think we're in there's like a mixed sentiment. We've got a lot of new folks that have come in, and they're new, and they're noisy about certain gripes, and sure, that's fine. Like, criticism's cool. And there's also some people that have been around that are in this like all they say is soon and all this, and like they're building a ton of things, and sometimes we don't have the full perspective of what they're up against. And so for me, I guess maybe I've had patience because I was around before an app even existed, and there was a time where the app was supposed to come out, and they're like, you know what, we can do better. And so there was another bit of time before we even got into like any glimpse of the app, right? And so I've had a different walk, so I've got a little bit more patience, but I've seen them deliver time and time again, even though maybe the timeline moved. But they're dealing with large IPs that are also, they're trying to navigate that and roll out something that's good. They might be able to roll out something really, really fast, but if it's not good, then what's the point, right? And so I think that this mixed sentiment is with the rumblings of MTL, and we know that some people are in beta for MTL right now, but we're like fudding ourselves, is my opinion. And I called this out in another interview of like a lot of the people that are big whales that everyone's like terrified of, they're already great at gym management. Like they've already got ways to cash out if they needed to, like not the proper way or whatever, but like they're probably already in gyms, and so they're not selling right now. They're buying, or they're waiting desperately for OMI to NFT to where they can come in and sweep a whole entire, not a floor, but sweep an entire collectible, right? Like think you do not understand what's coming. When these things open up, and it's going to be great, but it's also going to be like, why didn't I buy more of those? They're completely gone. They'll never be seen again, right? So I think we're flooding ourselves, if I'm being fair, where we're saying like, oh my gosh, MTL is going to come and Veve's going to be bankrupt, or oh my gosh, MTL is going to come and everyone's going to sell everything to the ground. I need to sell now, and like that internal like panic of everyone's going to pull the rug. It's a weird sentiment, and I don't think that I think it's clouding people's judgment of like what is actually the opportunities on the boards right now, and it's leading to some interesting results. So like, do I think the market's going to pump? I think people need to chill the fuck out and make their moves and play in their lane. And then when everyone kind of like does this sigh of relief of MTL rolls out and there's not this massive crash, it's going to be game on, right? It's like the game's paused because we think this big truck is coming, and then we're like, oh, okay, it's fine, and then everyone just gets back, right? So it's going to come. I've called this out. Like, it's playing out exactly how I described what was going to happen. Not saying I'm like Nostradamus. It's just like if you think about it, it's like people sold anticipating a sale, and then that sale like put people that were kind of on the fence of panic into a panic, and it is what it is. But like when everyone realized, oh crap, it's fine, then it'll just resume. So it'll be fine.
That's a fantastic answer, and I think a fantastic way to conclude.
Cool.
Out of respect for your time, we are almost at exactly an hour. Thank you so much, Brock, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me on. And again, if people enjoyed, then I'm happy if it provides value to your viewers and community. I'm down to come back if you're open to it.
I would love that. Absolutely love that. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And everybody who decided to watch either now or later, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Hope you learned a lot about Feeshes and hope you got some good VV tips at the very end. I think that was awesome to hear from Brock. So thank you guys, and we'll catch you next time.
See ya.